Hey, my name is Joe Luciano. I'm a realtor here with Bentley's on the North Shore, and today I'm going to go over the real estate market in Gloucester, Massachusetts, and a few pros and cons you should know before moving to Gloucester. Gloucester is located on Cape Ann in the North Shore. It's bordered by both Essex and Manchester by the Sea to the west, and then Rockport over to the east. Gloucester is known for being America's oldest seaport, its rich fishing and maritime history, not to mention its best-in-class seafood and incredible beaches. Settled in 1623, this year represents Gloucester's 400th anniversary. Now jumping right into real estate, Gloucester has a complicated real estate market. There's many different areas and neighborhoods within Gloucester, and these all command very different price points. I'm going to try and give some overall numbers for Gloucester and then try to give a little bit more specifics later on. So far this year, there's been 118 sales, 68 single-family sales, and 50 condos. This is down from the 145 sales we saw at this point last year, seeing about a 20% decrease in the number of sales in both single families and condos. Looking at single-family homes that have sold so far this year in Gloucester, the median sale price is $645,000. Now this is only up $1,000 from where we were last year, as in it's pretty much flat. Now looking at the average sale price in Gloucester, this is much higher just due to the larger and oceanfront estates that you're going to see in Gloucester trading for several $1,000,000. It's going to weigh the average quite heavily. So the average for single family homes in Gloucester so far this year is $876,500. And looking at the average sale price, that was actually down $53,000 compared to where we were last year. Now looking over at condos in Gloucester, which made up about 42% of the sales so far, the median sale price here was $507,500, which is down about $2,500 from last year. Also pretty level. The average for condos, just like single families, is also higher than the median at $641,000. Unlike the single family homes though, this is only down about $3,000 from where it was last year. So looking at condos, it's pretty level. Single families, we saw a bigger drop in the average, median pretty close. So if I was to give you a high level overview of Gloucester's real estate market, prices are pretty much level from where we were last year, if anything actually down a little bit, as we're seeing that midpoint or median be right around where it was last year. But of course, if you've been following any major real estate news, you're aware that interest rates have risen dramatically, so affordability has decreased within that same time frame. So even though something costs the same, your monthly payments, if you were to get a 30-year mortgage, are going to be much higher. Currently in Gloucester, there are 39 active listings with a median list price for single families around $1 million, and then for condos around $922,000. There's also 29 sales in Gloucester that are currently pending, with a typical days to offer right at 8 or 9 days. But as I mentioned earlier, Gloucester is a complicated market, and that's because there are many different parts within Gloucester. If I were to go on MLS and pull data for different parts of Gloucester, it gives me the opportunity to sort through 21 different sections of Gloucester. Some of the more distinct areas of Gloucester are West and East Gloucester. You have downtown, Annisquam, Magnolia, and then also over in Wingersheek. Certain neighborhoods within Gloucester can command very different prices. For example, certain single family homes, or I guess you should really say estates in Gloucester that are right on the water, there's a number of them that will sell for $5 million plus dollars. Just right now, for example, there's a home in West Gloucester, right along the ocean, with what could only be described as a castle-like watchtower, currently listed for $9 million. But what makes Gloucester so interesting is that not only do you have these $9 million plus homes, you also have condos on the complete opposite side of the spectrum, right in the low to mid $200,000 range. And if you've seen any of my other videos, including the most affordable towns in the North Shore, $200,000 is pretty tough to beat. That's one of the rock bottom, I'd say, entry-level price points you're going to see in the North Shore. A couple examples of condos that you'll see generally trading in the $200,000 range is Harborview condos and then also Ocean Terrace. These are both right down the street from each other in Magnolia. And once again, that's kind of interesting, just being Magnolia is closer to Manchester by the sea, which is again a very expensive community. So it is kind of interesting having that dynamic of multi-million-dollar waterfront homes and then down the street condos that'll trade in the mid to high $200,000 range. Transitioning from the numbers of Gloucester's real estate market, I want to spend some time looking at what I believe to be some of the pros and cons to living in Gloucester. Of course, these are going to be subjective, so what I think is a pro, you may think is a con, and vice versa. But take the information as you will, and then you can make a decision based on what's important to you. Starting off with some of the pros, there's a lot to do in Gloucester. Everything from whale watches, fishing excursions, to visiting museums and historical sites. Now those will mostly appeal to the visitors and tourists, but there's also, with that, for residents and people that live nearby, there's a ton of restaurants and great shops to visit. And I mean, there are a ton of restaurants just in Gloucester. As you might imagine, there are a lot of great seafood options, especially having the fishing port right there. You're gonna get a lot of fresh caught seafood with minimal transportation, if any. And then also with that, another pro I would say is that Gloucester has a great fishing and boating scene, kind of given that Gloucester is almost centered around that history with maritime and fishing. Another pro to Gloucester would also be its beaches. It has some of the best beaches in the area. A few notable ones to name are Good Harbor Beach and Wingersheek Beach. And you know, these really are some of the best beaches you're gonna find on the North Shore. And a perk to being a resident in Gloucester is that you have a resident beach parking sticker. This allows you to forgo the daily rate and then also have a much easier time parking, where a non-visitor would have to schedule in advance and reserve his parking spot. The resident sticker will also allow you to park at Stage Fort Park, which has Half Moon Beach and then Cressy's Beach, not to mention a gorgeous waterfront park. There are probably many more pros to living in Gloucester, but due to time constraints, I want to keep this a little bit shorter. So the last one I'll leave you on is something I've kind of already touched on earlier, and it's that there's a wide range of affordable options in Gloucester. So there's really a house or a type of home you could find in Gloucester at every single price point. Whether you are looking for something that's in the $200,000 to $300,000 range, or you have an unlimited budget, there's going to be something that you'll like. Gloucester has to be one of the only places where you can find something for over $10 million, but then also around $200,000. Now for some of the cons, Gloucester gets busy, especially during the summer months and the nicer weekends. And this is really something you would come to expect with any nice coastal town, especially a New England coastal town with gorgeous beaches. Gloucester is one of the most popular places for people to visit in the summer, and a lot of that is because it's well liked locally, but then also it has that notoriety outside of Massachusetts just through movies like The Perfect Storm and TV shows like Wicked Tuna. Everyone has pretty much heard of Gloucester. And this kind of goes hand in hand with what I'm going to say is the next con, and that is for more so just for residents, and that's that Gloucester has a large influx of tourists and visitors, especially during the summer months. Now this obviously makes it busy, but it also means that you're going to be stuck behind people driving probably well under the speed limit with no idea where they're going, turning late, no signal. You know, we've all been there, we can understand, but when you're driving home from work on a Thursday or a Friday night, it's probably not the most enjoyable thing to be behind. Now in the pros, I had mentioned the great beaches and how as a resident you get a sticker, so you get to park there for free and it's a little bit easier for you to park. I do want to add though as a con, if you're not a resident or you want to live locally and go to these beaches, it's much more difficult to get parking there. You have to reserve it several days in advance. You have to pay, I think, $35. And these beaches fill up very quickly. They're extremely busy. They're probably some of the most popular beaches in the North Shore, right up there with Cranes Beach. Unless there's a hurricane or it's the dead of winter, you're likely not going to be at the beach by yourself. Now the last and final con I have for Gloucester is a particular gripe that I've always had with Gloucester, and that is Atlantic Street on the way to Wingersheek Beach. Atlantic Street is a tight and twisty road. It's not in a fun way either. You know, sometimes a tight, twisty road's a fun one to drive on. Atlantic Street is a sketchy road to drive on. Sometimes you can't really see around the corner and it's really tight. It's kind of hardly a two-lane road, and someone else may be coming the other direction and they're flying, and then you get a hold on the brakes. I've had plenty of near misses on this road. And then of course, because you're in the path to Wingersheek Beach, one of the nicest beaches in the area, it gets kind of busy. And then you'll also have pedestrians and cyclists. And all in all, it just becomes very sketchy, a little bit dicey. So if you're ever going to Wingersheek Beach, I would say just be extra cautious on that road. That's kind of my last gripe. Now that's everything I have for the pros and cons of living in Gloucester. As you could tell, I really had to kind of grasp at straws for those last final cons there. And the pros were quite easy, honestly, as Gloucester is really one of the most special places on the North Shore. All right, that's all I've got for today. If you're thinking about buying or selling a home in Gloucester or nearby, please reach out. I'd love to help. Thanks so much for watching the video to the end. If you'd like to see more content like this covering different towns in the real estate markets in the North Shore of Massachusetts, please subscribe to the channel. Head over to my website, joes.homes, to start searching for your next home.